All right, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Pharrell Williams. I didn't realize I was looking forward to this one. I didn't realize I was looking forward to typing Pharrell Williams until they announced him. He's super cool. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I actually got my guesses right this time, so yay. I'm just gonna kind of go through what I guessed. It wasn't much, but I'll just go through it. There's a little bit that I want to discuss too, and just see if you guys have any feedback. So, starting off, for anyone who doesn't know his type, this is his type. So he's a double feminine SE play consume sleep blast. So he's blast last. And I guessed the DE and the savior feeling correctly. Now, originally, I was actually going to also go so far as to put double feminine. I wish I did, but I didn't have any proof for it. It was just kind of like a biased guess based on how he looks. So I just didn't want to go down that route. Now, I'm going to show you guys using the OP, one of the OP tools Dave and Shane have made, just how I came to this conclusion. So I'm actually going to start with Savior Feeling. So I'm gonna first start by just saying the general vibe that I got from him is that he has been typing. Pharrell Williams has been probably the first time I've had fun doing OP typing. I haven't had fun doing OP typing in a long time. It just was kind of a chore that I did. But listening to him, just this, it was a very soothing experience listening to Pharrell Williams. And I think part of that is because he talks straight, like he talks purely from his emotions, like in a lot of ways. There's a interview that he has with Rick Rubin, a great interview where he basically talks about how whenever he's doing something, especially when he's producing music, he's trying to recreate or what is it called, reverse engineer an emotion, and reverse engineering emotion into a sound or into something tangible. So that kind of gives away his type right there. He wants to reverse engineer emotions into tangible, like songs, which is very much on the SF plane. But specifically for the feeling, he would do a lot of oohs and ahs. He was very expressive, I thought. And even though he looked tired, he definitely seemed very willing to share his emotions. So initially, I was actually going to guess Savior Sleep for him. But because I started seeing Savior Feeling and also the DE, I held back on that. So Savior Feeling is communicating with emotions, and it also talks a lot about priorities, values, and likes. The other area where this is very easy to see is he has a speech that he does for, I think it's the the University of Virginia, and he kind of gets he gets into some really controversial topics in that discussion with the college graduates. It was class of 2019, where he's talking about getting reparations for people who have lost their land, and having the Taliban back in Congress, like very inflammatory statements. Like I saw people walking out of the crowd when he was making them. But the way that he went about it was he didn't argue his point. Instead, he had people raise their hands and said, how many of you feel neglected? How many of you feel marginalized? And he had them raise their hands, and just had like this whole crowd of people just raising their hands, sharing how they felt. And he felt very comfortable getting the tribe or getting other people involved in that emotional expression. And that's something I wouldn't feel comfortable doing. I really admired his ability to do that. Almost to the point where I was wondering if this was Savior Blast. But anyways, he's very comfortable not only talking about emotions, but also moving emotions. Now, the second area that's kind of very key is the DE. So let's go to the opening again. So DE. Now, what's interesting is that I don't know if these definitions are completely good. Like, I don't think DE is always a desperate idiot. I don't see Pharrell as a desperate idiot necessarily, but he's very, very inclusive, and he definitely mentions other people's points of view and bows down a lot. Once again, going back to really all of the interviews that I've discussed so far, the interviews and the speeches, Pharrell really would point at the other people that needed help, right? Look at all these neglected members of society that need help. In the case of his Virginia speech, look at Rick Rubin, who's a legend in the music industry. You know, in the case of his Rick Rubin interview, and then he would also talk about Virginians again. Virginians, interestingly enough, he would talk about Virginians as a class, not as specific people. So that might be a clue to the observer side. But anyway, look at all of these Virginians with their go-go music and how powerful, you know, emotionally that has been in the music culture. He would be very quick to point to someone or something else as the source of, you know, attention, like the point that needs to be paid attention to. It was never about him. It was always about the other person. Now, initially, I thought this was peacocking because it just felt, I was like, how is this so obvious? But he just keeps doing it. There's even another, he was on the Ellen show at one point, and he even starts bowing down to Ellen. They're both Savior FEs, but he puts Ellen in the DI role. He's like, Ellen, how do you, so I think Ellen, like, gave to some charity and had some kid hugging her or something like that. And Pharrell was like, how do you make people feel so welcome around you, or how do you make people feel so inspired by you? And Ellen had to start saying, oh, it's because I'm awesome. Like, and she's doing it in this awkward way, right? But she's like, Ellen, like, he forced Ellen to say, I'm awesome. He put Ellen in the DI role, you know, which I didn't even think was possible, right? So that's basically what I'm starting to see with him. I saw the DE, not, that wasn't the first thing I saw, but it was something that I quickly saw as I put more time in. Finally, I guess one thing that I wanted to talk about, that I just have questions about, honestly, is just him as an energy dom. I know he seems introverted, right? Like, he definitely seems like he takes time between making sentences and, you know, really saying anything. But I think what I'm wondering about is, how is he not good at Blast? Like, that's my subjective biased question, right? Especially when I looked at the speech for Virginia, right? It felt like he was blasting very effectively and moving the crowd emotionally, whether for good or for bad, right? Like, he was forcing them to do things his way, which is one of the definitions of Blast. And so my biased question is, okay, well, how was that not Blast? Now, you could say that he had a teleprompter, he had help, much like Obama would have help. I think Obama's a Blast last as well. But with Pharrell, I'm much like with, honestly, with a lot of the Blast lasters that I know, I just always wonder, how were they Blast last? I guess I would have to, like, follow him around a little bit more or watch more interviews with him to really see that in him. So that's just kind of one thing that I just wanted to mention. I just didn't see it as regularly. But that's about it. Finally got my guesses right. Pharrell, again, it was really just enjoyable to listen to him. He's a very soothing presence. He seems like a very good and kind person as well, which is really cool and very admirable to see. So that was definitely, it made my week better typing him. So that was really cool. So that's about it. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video that I make. Take care.